Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Odogama interview series where we help you step up your game and play bigger. Today, my host is Desiree Stafford, and Desiree helps high achieving experts, coaches, and spiritual entrepreneur. I always have a problem saying entrepreneur because it's a French word, and I'm French, so it's kind of weird for me to say it in English. But anyhow, entrepreneur, how to consistently, and this is key, attract yes on the spot clients without burnout. She
Yes.
took her own business from struggling to success when she collapsed her yearly income in just 90 days by adopting a quantum leap mindset, defying cookie cutter marketing strategies. Desiree, thank you very much and welcome to this interview. Would you like to
Thank you.
further introduce yourself to our viewers?
I think you did a great job. If there's anything specific that I could answer, I would definitely love to do that. I'm really good at that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Well, would you like to tell us a bit about your journey and how you got into coaching, actually?
So my journey's kind of long. I'm going to try to bring it in as much as I can.
Sure.
But I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years.
Yes.
And I became an entrepreneur because I had been laid off more times than I could count, which kind of gave me the instinct that maybe I should do my own thing. Plus, my dad was an entrepreneur, and he said the same thing to me. It's like, this is why you need to be independent.
Right.
So in the beginning, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I started my first business, took it to 6 figures in 12 months. It was awesome. It was offline. All right. It was a real estate business.
Yes.
And then from there, I was a partner in 2 other businesses. One of them happened to be a 7-figure business, and we took that to multi 7 figures in 2 years. So that was fun at first. But then we started, we didn't make it. Let's put it that way. We ended up closing the business. And when we closed the business, I made the choice to go back to the corporate world, thinking that I couldn't cut it as an entrepreneur. My partner went on and he continued. He went out and he bought a 100-unit apartment building.
Right.
And so it caused me to pause and reflect, what happened here? We were in the same business together, same industry, and we went in 2 different directions when we closed our business. And so I started thinking about, because I had studied personal development for years, what would have caused me to make this decision? And I realized that it was because I didn't have support. I didn't have anyone that I could really talk to help me with my mindset, to help me understand that, when we hit bumps in the road, those were not stop signs. Those were growth signs. They were opportunities for me to figure out what did I need to learn and then grow from there, which I didn't see. I saw myself as a failure at that point, and that's when I decided to get into the coaching industry, because I wanted to help other women specifically, because I think women are a bit more challenged because we're not as, I don't think, maybe in the online world it's different, but in terms of business in general, for a long time, we haven't been very encouraged to, start our own businesses. And if so, they've always been kind of like the hobby kind of businesses, not businesses where you're making thousands of dollars from working with your clients, right? So it's a little bit different. And so I realized that I wanted to support women and, help, be that rock for them, and also give them the perspective, help them see what they can't see, help them find the blind spots, help them remember how powerful they actually are, so that they wouldn't have to make the decision that I made to go back to work.
Excellent. Awesome. My questions are really based on your introduction, which I think it's very straight to the point and powerful. So it really guided me in, crafting my questions. So my first question is, what was it that you were struggling with in your business?
Confidence was the biggest key. Confidence to really, number one, see what my gifts were and to own those gifts, to really allow myself to be powerful in that way. Confidence in my pricing. I constantly worried, who's going to pay me this much? Confidence in my sales conversations, to say what needed to be said, to ask the right questions, and confidence even in the way that I showed up in my marketing. I was filtering myself a lot. So the underlying theme there was confidence. And that's typically when clients come to work with me, that's typically where we're working, right? Because confidence means that you truly believe in yourself in all of those areas. So you don't have, I had to work a lot on my limiting beliefs that were creating this lack of confidence. And so that's one of the things I help my clients with, because I find that to be the biggest hindrance to success for any entrepreneur.
Yeah.
is when they're not feeling confident, and typically in those areas.
Definitely, definitely. And did you have a mentor or a coach from the beginning, from when you decided to be a coach yourself?
I did. So yes, I did. I've been in many, many programs,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had many coaches and mentors, some better experiences than others. And some of that was not the right pairing. Some of it was me not showing up prepared to do the work that needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I've always had a coach. And I think it's important that, for us to be leaders, for us to be, holding our clients to a higher standard, we also need to be able to continue to grow, because if
Yeah.
we're not growing,
Yeah.
how can we help our clients see? You know what I mean? How can we help them, shift their own perspective? How can we help them step into a higher belief
Mm-hmm.
if we stop ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very important. And the reason I shared my story is because there's a lot of people who've experienced coaching.
Yeah.
And so they kind of go back and forth on it. And some people think they don't need it. But I think it's foolish to be in a business where you're offering a particular service and you're not continuing to educate yourself. You're not continuing to grow and be challenged yourself by your own coach or mentor.
Definitely. And what I've realized that from the moment you start investing in yourself, you almost can't stop. I mean, personally, I'm looking forward to the next coach or the next program I'm going to enroll, and I'm always looking forward to having someone, not that I need someone to hold my hand, but I want someone to bounce off of. And yeah, so I can't do without a coach or being in a mastermind or being in a program. And I really wanted to emphasize that is really crucial, and it's a big part to you achieving the level that you want in your business. So
and I'd like to add to that before you go on to your next question. I just kind of want to add to that. Our environment is so important, not just our physical environment, but our environment of people, right? Because what we're doing, I work with coaches, mentors, experts, healers. What we're doing is kind of different than the outside world, right? And we need to surround ourselves with people who are making money, from their gifts, and making a lot of money from their gifts, because that can be very triggering and confronting to people who don't get it.
Yes.
So it's very important, like you said, to make sure whether you're working with a coach or mentor, or you're in a mastermind or what have you, you need to be around people who get it, who get what you're doing, what you're up to, so that you can continue to believe and move forward. This is where a lot of people screw up. Like, they're not surrounding themselves, because there were times when I did take breaks and I didn't have the support that I needed. And then, the mindset backlash, it's kind of like, what do I think I'm doing? Like, I can't, all that stuff goes on. You want to eliminate that by making sure that you are in an environment of people who get it and who will encourage you, who will stretch you, who will challenge you to continue to move forward.
It is crucial. It's super important. I'm glad you made that point. So my next question is, did you have a defining moment where you decided, and the word decision has been coming up a lot during this interview, when you decided that you're not going to be struggling anymore, you're going to go big, and you're going to do it now? What was that defining moment?
Did I have a defining moment?
Yeah.
My defining while my phone is going off the hook, give me 1 second. My defining moment, yes, I had. Here we go. My defining moment was being broke again.
Yeah.
Because I'd gone broke several times over my career as a coach. More times than I'd gone broke in the other businesses. Because I was dealing with more limiting beliefs when I became a coach. There were things that I wasn't even aware that I was struggling with when I had my offline businesses. But the defining moment for me was going broke again. So I didn't have any money in my bank account. All my credit cards were maxed out because I invested in all these programs and I tried all these strategies, and nothing was working. I mean, I was getting some results and I had clients, but it wasn't consistent. It was that whole feast or famine roller coaster that so many people find themselves on. And I had 28 days before my home was going to go into foreclosure, and I had to make a decision. Am I going to quit and go back to work again like I had done before, or am I going to figure this shit out, right? And clearly trying to figure it out on my own wasn't the answer. So I found a coach. she was more technically, she was a mentor. And I just knew, you know how you just know?
Yes.
I just knew I had to work with her. I just knew that she would snap me out of my shit. You know what I mean? Because she just came across really powerfully. I knew she would challenge me and snap me out of it, and I would get results. And so I hired her. Now, remember, I have no money in the bank account. I have 28 days before my home's going to go into foreclosure. And the decision that I make, instead of looking for a job, like, the safe, the kind of like rational thing to do, I said, screw it, I'm going to hire this mentor. And I didn't have the money, but I knew I was going to just work with her. I made the decision. So it's important that you talked about decision earlier, because I made the decision. The moment I made the decision and I said yes to myself, I had no idea where the money was going to come from. I just knew it had to come. Within a couple of days, I signed another client and had the money for the deposit. 30 days later, I made over $34,000. So that's the power of decision, of putting your foot down and saying, this is it, right? And that was a defining moment for me. It was like, enough is enough. Like, I was tired of knowing that I was smart, knowing intellectually that I was good enough, but not being able to get myself, not to take action, because I was always a doer, but to have the belief behind the action. Because if you don't have the right belief behind the action, you will just keep spinning and spinning and spinning, and nothing will change.
That's it. That's it. And that's the word I locked in my mind. That was the word belief. Because it's like saying to the universe, okay, go, green lights, and it's at that moment that you get your breakthrough. Like, you don't know where it's going to come from, but it's going to come as long as you believe. Awesome.
Because when you believe, you no matter what comes up, it's like, whatever, this is happening. Right? It's like you stand solid. You're not wavering, and that's the difference. That's where, and it's a challenge. You know what I mean? And it's something that you have to recommit to every day. But it's very important that you get that. Once you have the belief, then the way must appear, provided that you hold on to that belief, because many people kind of get scared and back away.
Yeah. No, definitely. What did it take for you to collapse that yearly income? What did you do differently?
It's interesting. Most people would expect that I would say that I implemented a lot more strategy. And in fact, I implemented less strategy. I spent a lot more time on my mindset. Just getting clear, number one, about what I wanted, because a lot of people don't get what they want because they don't know what they want. And for so many people, I typically work with people who have found themselves to be like the caretaker, a people pleaser, those kind of folks. Oftentimes forget what they want and what they need. So we spend so much time stuffing it down. We've got to remember to bring it back up to the surface, and then give ourselves permission to own those desires and own those needs. And so that was the first thing, was getting clear, what is it that I want for myself, raising my standards around that. And then number two, it was then working on the belief that I could have it. Like, for me, and how I teach my clients to do this, it's, you've got to understand that when you have to have a thing, your consciousness is different than when you kind of want it. When it's like, if it falls in my lap, it's just different, right? When you have to have something, it's like you put the blinders on, your expectation goes up, the wavering stops. And that's what I had to do. It was all the internal stuff. I marketed less, and I was able to actually bring in those clients. I started to relax more. I stopped sinking into fear, doubt, and worry, and just kept focusing on what I wanted. And that's what allowed that to happen with so much more ease than I would have ever imagined. Because you can imagine if you're struggling, to bring in 5 or 10K, and then all of a sudden you explode, and that was so much easier with so much less work,
I see that with myself, because the less I do, as in do, the less things I do, and the more I center myself, the more I am within myself, if it makes sense, the more effective I am, and the bigger the results I'm creating, because I'm first here, not in my mind, my mindset and my consciousness, because that's really where the magic happens. It's really an inside out job, really.
It is. And I would add to that, one of the things I mentioned before, that I was always a doer. So what I see a lot of people do, they hustle and they push and they force really hard, which is what I was doing when I was struggling. And that was because I was taking action from a place of fear. So there's nothing wrong with taking a lot of action if that's what you desire to do. But I was doing it from a place of fear. And I had to shift out of fear, and the action that I took was coming from a place of faith. So now I actually market a little bit. I want to be careful how I say this. I was going to say I market a little bit more, but the way that I market is also different. So my marketing isn't all about, hire me as your coach or mentor. A lot of what I'm doing is just putting out insight that I think is really valuable. And sometimes it's not directly related to the kind of results I can help a client produce.
Yeah.
But that is still coming from a place of desire, not from a place of, if I don't do this, if I don't act 24/7, then I'm not going to get the client, so I'm not going to see the cash. So I want people to understand the difference of that. It's not about counting how much you post or how many hours you spend in your business. It's really about where you're coming from energetically. Are you coming from a place of desire because it feels good and it's just flowing? Because if it's flowing, don't turn it off, right? Or are you coming from a fear-based place, I have to do this? Because if you're coming from that place, you're actually introducing resistance that will block you from getting the result. And
actually pushing people away because they on your vibe. Awesome.
Yeah.
How would you define standing in your power and owning your power as a woman?
I love that.
How would you define that?
How would I define it? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good question, because I don't know that I've ever really thought about how I would define it. I talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
To me, being able to stand in your power is really, number one, trusting your connection to God, spirit, universe, source, whatever you call it. Because that's where our power really comes from. It's not from people. I think another way I would define it is that what you do is in service to you first and other people second. Which can be scary, because as women, we have been conditioned to always put everyone else first. We're like the last people on our list, and that, if we think about ourselves first, we're selfish, we're mean-spirited, we don't care about everyone else. I mean, these were all the things I was told for many, many years that caused me to switch into this whole people-pleasing thing. But it's really important that we honor who we are. We honor our voice, we honor our feelings, we honor our desires, we honor our needs. All that stuff is important. And when you come from that place, I believe that you are truly empowered. You're able to be really strong. You're able to be very vulnerable. Nothing has an effect on you, because when you're coming from this place, you're really self-validating yourself. So what other people think doesn't matter as much. Do you know what I mean? Because you're getting your source of approval, your source of love, your source of attention from numero uno, right? It comes from you first. And what people often don't realize is that that's very attractive, right? It's very attractive to, romantic relationships. It's very attractive to clients. It's very attractive to money, right? But we have to come from that place first. And I think, to me, that's how I would define power. It's really not allowing anyone else to have control over you. It's allowing yourself to be at choice, because you come from center, right? You're not leaning on other people for their validations, for their approval, for any of that other kind of stuff. The only person or entity, let's say, that you lean on really is your source. It's God, spirit, universe,
I love that. Absolutely love it. And would you agree that if somehow we suffer, if when we go broke or we are in poverty, if we are in relationships where we're not happy, or we're not happy but we're settling, whenever we're settling, that is giving your power away.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's so crucial. I love talking about that. It's my jam. I absolutely love it, and how you framed it is exactly how I see it in my mind. Next, the importance of taking risks and going against the grain of this is how you have to do things.
Yeah, that's hugely important, because, most people are playing it safe. Most people are, they're coloring in these tight little lines. And so what happens is we often will attempt to take risks. Sometimes we fail or we get slapped, like it could be a proverbial slap, right? And that will scare us back into our place.
Yes.
But the only way to change, to transform, to experience something that you've never experienced before is to take risk.
Yes.
Right? Because otherwise you're going to stay in this safe little spot, and nothing, like, what happens then? Nothing, right? Nothing happens until you grow. And, growth, it feels like risk, but when you do it, to me, there's no other rewarding, like there's no feeling more rewarding than that, is what I mean to say. Because when you talk about power, that's like totally owning your power, because you're not afraid, right? Not that there is no fear present, but you don't allow that fear to control you or to stop you or to manipulate you, right? Or to bully you.
Exactly.
You say, okay, fear, I get that you're here, but you're not going to stop me. I'm going to do this anyway. Right. And that's how we get to the other side. And that's how we get to experience all the things that we desire. And it's why that there's so many people who are stuck. I just signed a new client yesterday into one of my programs, and I had to be just present with her during the discovery. Like, I call it a breakthrough session, because she knew that this program was going to be life-changing for her. But the fear was like trying to hold her back. And I'm standing here like this, like we're doing it, and the fear is still pulling her back. And it's so important that as coaches, as mentors, as leaders, that we understand the process that our clients are going through, and we stand firm, and we hold a certain standard for them so that they can step up, because this woman knew how powerful she was, but she's had 40 plus years of telling herself that she wasn't. Right? And so this was a big risk for her. It felt like a big risk for her, but she got over it. She stepped into the program, which is fantastic. And I can't wait to see how things explode, because, when we take risks, our lives will explode. Like, things that have been keeping us safe and keeping us small will start to like kick up against us and make us feel wrong sometimes for the choices that we've made. But that's a good sign. It's a sign that you are, breaking apart the shit that no longer serves you and making space for the higher level that you're ascending to.
Exactly. Awesome. What's a quantum leap mindset, and what does it require?
A quantum leap mindset, in my opinion, it requires you to kind of ignore everything, like the conventional rules. You have to do, I don't know, a 6 or an 8 week launch series. You have to do, I do webinars, so I'm not going to talk about webinars, but you've got to do like all of these long drawn out processes to get clients. Like, you nurture them for 10 weeks and all kinds of nonsense. You need like a 30 email sequence. No, you don't. Right? When you're clear on what it is that you do, this kind of goes back to the confidence before, and you've made a decision. When you're clear on what it is that you desire, the type of clients you want to work with, when you are clear and confident about your gifts and the value that you have to offer, when you feel convicted that you can, I think I want to say conviction, when you feel conviction that you can actually serve your clients better than anybody else, right? When you come from that place, you can do anything, right? And you can do it now. Now, that doesn't mean that if I decide today I want to work with a $10,000 client, that $10,000 client's going to fall in my lap today. But they could, right? I have to be open for it, right? Because I've had that. I've decided, there's been mornings I woke up, I was like, God, I would love a new client today. And literally, the client showed up on my calendar. Doesn't happen all the time, right? But, and I want to make that distinction, because I don't like when people leave people with the impression that manifestation is always instant. Sometimes it is, other times it's not. So I don't want people to think that because it didn't happen right away, she said it would happen overnight, that it means it's not going to happen, right? Because we're also dealing with other people, right? They are meant to work with us, yes, but they might have to release some entanglements for themselves before they can step, into our world.
Mm-hmm.
But just know that when you make a decision, that you can quantum leap whenever you desire, but you've got to hold true to that desire. You can't allow the appearances of lack to make you doubt, which is what many people do. And I did it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
You can't allow the appearance of the appearance of lack to make you think it's not going to happen, because what does that do? That feeds into the fear. What you need to do is keep feeding into your faith by focusing on what it is that you do want, and ignore all possibilities of the fact that it can't go your way, right? Because the minute you give your attention to that, that's where you go. And what really is happening there is you're looking back to your past experiences, and you're projecting those experiences into your now and into your future. But we always have the power to manifest from right here in this moment. But that requires us to let go of what didn't work out, maybe take the lessons from that, right? But then to let go of that shit and just say, this is what I want. And it doesn't have to take a shit ton of time, because, time is really irrelevant. It's just the matter of that, this is what I desire. And if the moment I am aware of the desire, the way to fulfill that desire must be present. And if you can hold firm to that belief, regardless of what you see or do not see, then you will get to where you want to be. And it can happen fast. Most of my clients experience quantum leaps in the first 30 days. Most of them. Sometimes it takes like 6 weeks or so. But that's because we work on the mindset first, and really, ignoring all of the illusions and not following, the status quo in terms of like the trends in marketing. You have to do all of these other things because you don't. You really don't.
I love it. I could listen for you for hours. For hours, but we're coming to an end, and I would love to end with your three biggest or best advice you can give to someone who is really feeling the pull to really step it up now, but it's kind of giving too much to fear.
Okay. The first thing I would say is trust yourself. Trust whatever your needs and desires are, honor them. Okay. Stop pushing them down. The second thing I would say is to confront your fear, because if we don't confront our fears, they control us, right? When we run away from fear, when we allow our circumstances to have power over us, they always do, and things only get worse. They don't get better. You have got to start putting your foot down, right? I don't give a shit what your circumstances are. And I don't say it to be flippant or to be callous.
Yeah, I get it.
But your circumstances are created from who you used to be. Now, you can either choose to continue to be that person every day of your life, or you can decide now that you're not going to play that game anymore. Right? So that means you don't allow your circumstances to have power over you. Okay. And the third thing is that you do not allow your eyes to deceive you. So that kind of goes back to what I said before about the appearance of lack. I personally believe now, I didn't always, but I believe now that anytime there's an appearance of lack, it is simply a distraction to keep you playing small. It's to keep you stuck exactly where you are. So you have to be defiant. You've got to say, oh, I know better than this. Right? And then that's when you'll start to see what it is that you desire start to come up.
That's true. And on the appearance of lack, what I've realized, and that I teach my client too, is that if you have that awareness of lack, what is the thought, what is the belief that is created that lack? Because that's where it's coming from, because your outside experience, your circumstances are just a projection of your and your mindset. So if there's something that's not working right, go back where you created it and ask yourself, what is it at this moment that is creating that? And that's where you'll be able to correct it. Amazing.
I agree.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Desiree. Before we wrap up, please tell us where we can find you and how we can connect with you.
You can check me out at DesireeStafford.com, but I would really like to offer you a free training. So the people who are, wanting to learn more, go to my website. It's DesireeStafford.com/masterclass, and you'll get access to a training where I walk you through exactly what you can do to start attracting your yes on the spot clients and add 6 figures to your income without burning yourself out. So it's very detailed training. I like to, give it all that I have, and I'd love for you to take advantage of it. Learn what you can learn from it, and then go out and get some results.
Fantastic. Awesome. I'll put that in the link wherever I'm going to put this replay. Once again, thank you. Thank you very much for being my guest today. And I will see you.
It's been fun. I love this stuff.
I'm loving it too. And it's only the beginning. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Oh, where are you off to next?
Where am I off? Okay. I'm in Meta, which is a tiny little town right outside of Sorrento. And I decided that I'm going to the next town over, and then I'm going up to Tuscany because I like it here so much. So I'm going to be, it's been interesting. I've been Airbnb-ing it for the last 2 weeks, and now I'm going for the luxury. I'm like, this has been, you know, like the adventure. I got it. I'm cool. Now it's all like luxury hotels from this point on. So I'm going to spend some more time in this area, and then I'm going up to Tuscany. And then from there, going back over to Nice and Cannes and all those other places.
Oh,
so it'll be fun.
God, you're going to have so much fun. I love my French Riviera. You're going to love it. Well, I wish you an amazing time, you know, for the rest of your trip. And thank you again very much. And I will see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you. It's been a lot of fun being here with you.
My pleasure. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.